Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with a review of a 2019 horror film from director Dakota Ray. I'm talking about The Dark Days of Demetrius. Now, Dakota Ray is an interesting director. I've only seen one other film from this guy, which was I think it was from 2016. His film The Acid Sorcerer, which I found on Amazon Prime. It's also on YouTube if you're interested, as well as this film is also on Amazon Prime and YouTube, and I'll be linking both of those in the description, just in case you're interested. So, this movie, first, The Acid Sorcerer is a pretty interesting kind of series of vignettes about a serial killer, I think like a drug dealer, a prostitute, and I think like one or two other people. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But I remember it being a very cheaply made film, a film I probably wouldn't call good, but I remember it being at least kind of interesting and having a surreal, kind of lo-fi, cheap atmosphere to it. This movie is a surreal kind of character study following the character of Demetrius, who is a serial killer who live streams his murders on the internet, and he becomes very famous for it. And then once a controversial reporter interviews him and then blames him for murders that the reporter has committed, it causes problems between the two of them. Okay. Full disclosure, this movie is not very good at all. It's very cheap looking. The acting isn't anything that good. The voice of Demetrius sounds like it was pitch shifted down to make him sound more spooky and intense and tough, but really it feels really fucking cheesy and kind of bad, kind of very bad. Same with his dialogue. It just feels like a lot of kind of edgy, angsty thoughts that you would see in the notebooks of a mass murderer, which I guess that's kind of what Dakota was going for with it, but still. Despite these problems, there are some good aspects to the film. It's got this interesting kind of, due to the cheapness of the film, it has a very interesting kind of lo-fi, otherworldly atmosphere that kind of felt like a mishmash of the otherworldly elements of Flesh of the Void, which is a pretty good movie, and Man of Sands of Hate, which is a god-awful movie, but a movie I appreciate for its kind of surreal atmosphere. This film has a very similar atmosphere to those. It feels very otherworldly. It feels like a movie from another dimension, almost. The film, despite being cheaply produced and having some visual effects and edits that look like they were lifted straight from Windows Movie Maker, the film still looks nice in some shots. There are some nice kind of establishing shots of Denver, which is where the film was shot. Some nice like blurry kind of like gritty, like almost stylized, I want to say like stylized snuff film looking shots in this film of the city, which is actually pretty nice. It's pretty colorful. God. The film for the most of the runtime has a bluish purple tint to the image, which makes the film feel very cold and kind of disconnected, which I think really works in the film's favor. Towards the last half, there are some scenes with a reddish tint to it, which I think is an interesting change. I don't necessarily know why, but maybe it's because those scenes were during the day and the other scenes were at night. Maybe. I don't know. I also really like the music in this film. It's very dark, very ambient, kind of droning, echoing. I want to say almost kind of industrial sounding. There's also some speed metal on the soundtrack, which isn't half bad. I enjoy myself a bit of metal music every now and again. Now, I wouldn't say I liked this film. I would definitely say I don't think I'll ever watch this film again. But similar to the only other film I've seen from Dakota, The Acid Sorcerer, it's an interesting, kind of unique film. It's got a relatively short runtime. In the case of Dark Days of Demetrius, this film runs for like an hour, and The Acid Sorcerer runs for like 42 minutes. And both of these films are available to watch on Amazon Prime, and they're available on YouTube, on his official YouTube channel, if you want to see them. They honestly are not the worst way to spend an afternoon if you want, just something to put on. They aren't necessarily something I would recommend, but if you're into kind of micro-budget, obscure, lo-fi, kind of otherworldly cinema, this is definitely something to look into. It's kind of like equal parts I don't know what to compare this movie to. It's like if I got nothing. Um, I'm just gonna go with the go-to, which is to say, this film is kind of like if David Lynch wanted to make his own version of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. That's kind of what this film is. Although it isn't really as good as isn't as good as Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I still think this film is pretty interesting, and definitely think it might be worth a look if micro budget horror is your thing. If you are not into micro budget horror, if you are not into kind of cheap shot on video horror, this film wasn't shot on video, but still, if you're into that kind of stuff, this is definitely something I would say is worth a shot. You might enjoy it, you might not. But with that is it for this one, guys. This is Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews. Oh yeah, star rating, probably like a 2.5 out of 5. It's very middle of the road for me personally. Anyway, guys, this is Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews, signing off. Peace.